Hey, everybody. Welcome to Elden Dogs.
Elden Dogs, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah, dude.
we are here. This is Hair the Dogcast. We are a family of shows. Elden Dogs is a brand new one. We'll get into what that show means, but Hair of the Dogcast in general. We have the Dogcast, where we will discuss gaming news, and we'll have kind of a light, breezy topic. That's every other week. We have Raw Dogs,
Yes.
which is a deep dive podcast. Generally, we'll discuss a game or game series for the length of an episode in pretty in depth. And this is a new offshoot, kind of that, called Elden Dogs, where we have to talk about Elden Ring, and
We could find no other way. The problem with this game is that it's spoiler fucking awesome, and if we were to just start talking about this on the normal Dogcast, it would just become the entirety of it every single time.
if we didn't have this as like an option, our Elden Ring discussions would just be varied and rambling because there's so much to the game, and this is a way to.
us going, what? Oh, really? You? What? Wait, that?
No
That
way!
happened?
No way! Scarlet Rot. Oh,
Scarlet Rot. Oh,
but this is a way to have focused discussions. And yeah, so before we get into that, we're a proud member of the HyperX Podcast Network. For more information, check out podcast.hyperx.com. And who are we? Okay, my name is Brad. I'm kind of like the Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing of the group, kind of a pompous dick, and I pretend I know way more than I do.
yeah.
I think that'd be a good
You
comparison.
you love your servant very much.
I love my little edgelord boy who sits out my door. And that's kind of my role here. I'm going to do a lot of the research and kind of guide the discussion of us Tarnished here. At this is a round-ish table, the oval table hold.
True.
Yep. And yeah, I have played through all of Bloodborne multiple times. Never played a Souls game outside of that until now.
Hilarious because you have tattoos of it.
Half of my right leg is all Bloodborne tattoos, and the Souls series scared me for a long time, but that kind of gives you an idea of who I am. Dylan, I mean, you know which Tarnished I would want to call you, right?
Godric?
The loathsome dung eater.
The loathsome dung eater.
Because you're badass, you're cool, and you're vulgar.
Yeah, that's true. I'm more of the sassy sorcerer who helps Ranny. he's like, oh, it's in this tower. It's not even the fucking tower. That's why I fucking love him. He's like, you'll go to this tower.
Saluvius?
Yeah, he's funny.
He just told...
He straight up lies.
Okay.
I love him.
And
Then we have
that's me. That's Tyler. That's... I was trying to think of which...
Pope Turtle. You're Pope Turtle?
no,
I'm not... I mean, I wish I was Pope Turtle.
he's got sharper edges than that.
You're the guy who sells the earliest.
You're the jellyfish summon.
Yay!
I can live with that.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
Which surprisingly has a quest tied to it. That's a little cool.
Okay, yeah. We'll be talking about
But
this.
yeah, if you come up with who you want to be, did you come up with someone, or will you go with jellyfish for now?
I'll use jellyfish as a placeholder.
Okay.
I'm also... I don't know. I'm bad with names in general, but this game is really, really trying my my ability to remember shit.
It's a lot of R's and M's.
And G's.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
I'm
George R.R. Martin.
I'm having PTSD
He had to-
from
Fuck,
like...
he had to fucking do it.
No, he made a statement. He said that was not intentional. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Elden Dogs is going to be a very in-depth look into the game.
Yeah.
And just a forewarning.
Bach.
You're Bach?
Yeah.
The ugly dude?
I love that little shit.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Fair
Okay.
enough.
Bach's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a loyal dude.
Just wants to make...
very appreciative.
Just wants to be a
Likes to
seamstress,
help.
like
Yeah.
his mom.
You're my early.
And I love my mom.
You're my early demi-human summon.
You know, in my head, I was thinking the one thing I don't want to be, and it was the demi-human summon.
Oh fuck.
That's the one thing.
All right, we can continue.
Forewarning, though, like how spoilers will work on this show. When we do talk about, like, we're going to go kind of region by region after this first episode. We'll talk about Limgrave. We'll talk about some of, like, the history of that region. Yeah. How did Stormvale Castle become what it is? But as far as revelations or big story beats, those will generally not be getting spoiled out of order. And as we move along in the show,
some stuff might slip through the cracks, but I think the implicit understanding of this is, if you're listening to this, unless you're curious and you don't care, there's going to be spoilers. It's just going to happen. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be spoilers, but they're going to be at the pace of where we're talking. We won't talk about...
Right. We're not doing it to be malicious either, so...
And don't worry, we will. If we do talk about things, I have the power of the edit. It is a unique weapon, and it's a plus 10, and nothing will get through there.
Yep.
Yes. Right. Let's talk about your experience with the Souls series a little bit before we get going on, Dylan.
I'm a Grandmaster OG. The first one I played was Demon Souls, but I did not play it when it first came out. Like everyone else, I was intimidated by everyone calling this a perfect game, but it's not for everyone. And then it was 2012, I think. It was the summer of 2012, and I just graduated college, and I was super depressed. And I just I would go to used video game stores, and I'd be like, "Well, fuck, I've got a PS3. Let's go through the entire library of this shit." I pick up Demon Souls. I'm like, "Oh, there's something to this game. What the hell?" I play it. I think it's fine. I love it, and I beat it. And then I play Dark Souls, which is still my favorite game of all time. And I truly fell in love with it.
The first one or the remaster? Do you have a preference? You don't prefer the remaster?
I don't care.
Okay, they're both great.
They're fine. They're the same game, but whatever. The differences are so minimal. Mm-hmm. The game is still the same. It's like playing Wind Waker and Wind Waker HD. It's still brilliant.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. Dark Souls, the first one, probably influenced a lot of my thinking, kind of changed my life. It's one of the most perfect video games I think I've ever played in my entire life. If that gives you a little bit of a look into my situation in terms of Elden Ring.
Yeah, and you're the reason I got into Bloodborne at all.
Yeah.
And so, yep, you are the wise old veteran. I am the
baby boy.
I've been fighting for a while, but then we do have the newborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be me. Before Elden Ring, I think I played a grand total of about 2.5 hours of Bloodborne, and that is my only experience with Souls games.
Which my first 2.5 hours of Bloodborne didn't involve more than 3 blocks of that first level.
Oh yeah,
I knew the Souls games were hard. I knew they had a cult following, and they were critically acclaimed. So they were always on my back burner. I always meant to get to Dark Souls. I always meant to play Bloodborne, but I always got pushed aside for another game. Elden Ring came out at the perfect time where I had jack shit going on.
Nice.
And I had $60 that I just wanted to fuck off with.
Burning a hole in your pocket.
Yeah. And I will say, I did not expect to like Elden Ring. I'm about 58 hours in now. Mm-hmm. Level 56. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
Really?
I do. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time so far.
It has been a major gateway drug for many gamers. Just the adoption rate for when it came out, it sold 4 times the release numbers as any other ones. And I know tons of gamers that I have spoken with. This is their first time playing a Souls game, and it's really great feeling the electricity. Anyone talks about gaming, you can just see strangers walk up to you at a bar Elden Ring.
Yeah. It's palpable. It's in the air. When a game like this gets released, and it is so... I'm going to be honest with you. When this was announced, I was like, oh no, they're finally going to have a flop. I literally thought that. I was so much of an asshole about it. I was like, I don't get on hype trains anymore. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I saw this, and I heard the title. I'm like, Elden Ring? Oh, the fuck?
Yeah.
And you and Tom and even not Josh, but you guys were kind of oh, this kind of looks good. And did you see a trailer? I said, I'm not going to watch anything about it.
Yep.
I know that you have a horse.
And that's too much. I know too much already.
That worried me. I saw horse gameplay, and I'm like, uh-oh. No.
I mean, the Souls series has always been about exploration, but in a more focused... you can go off course to a number of different courses, but this is nope. You're fucking in an open world, and it is definitely a new approach for the Souls games.
Yep.
And golly, it's it's
so good.
Every aspect of this game just seems finely tuned.
I will say this: I do not think it's the best Souls game at all. I have a special place in my heart for certain ones, but if I had to be Mr. Critic, Sekiro is still the best.
Interesting.
I have that. I got it for the PlayStation Plus or whatever.
It's still the best Souls game,
I
unfortunately.
never played it, but I did add it to the library.
I love this game a lot. I think we all share the same sentiment though. Like this is my game of the year, like period. Like it's done. It's over with.
This could be the game of the decade. It's a little early to say that, but
I know, but
The bar has been set very, very high.
extremely high.
this makes Breath of the Wild feel like eating soap.
Oh, shit.
Breath of the Wild's still a really good game.
Whatever. Not anymore.
They both have the spirit of exploration, which is great. Some of the more focused elements of Breath of the Wild I don't care for as much, but Elden Ring just flourishes in every step of the way.
There's a lot of Breath of the Wild DNA in here. I will say that.
There's a little Skyrim DNA in there for me.
There's not.
I definitely get it.
I don't think there's.
I
too
definitely
much
get a Skyrim.
When I
DNA
am creeping around a cave, like sneaking up on people and backstabbing them, I feel a little like it's impossible for me not to think of Skyrim because that was one of my first times doing that.
Well, I think also
Or
that
Oblivion as well.
the fact that they take so much from Norse mythology in this one too is kind of how you could make that Skyrim comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking even of like our God of War shit,
Dragons and knights. And it's its fantasy is just cooked into the bones there.
yeah.
Just so everyone knows, I played on a PlayStation 5. I have gotten over 100 hours, and I have 5 different characters now. I'm working on 4 different builds because I played...
Golly.
The first time I played through, I played as a strength-based... generally, I would turn into a spell blade, but mostly I was just, smacking things with my sword or my twin blade.
Yeah.
Just so everyone gets a feel for how I might have played the game. I'm currently exploring magic, and I'm really enjoying it.
I'm mostly magic based. I do have the Moonveil sword for just enough. I leveled up just enough dexterity and strength to carry it, but it scales with intelligence. So I'm a sorcerer, spellsman guy, essentially. I wear really fancy clothes, and I have an imp helmet.
I like the imp helmet. I got the cat
That's the cat one. Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah.
And it's fucking dope to wear. I fucking look cool.
And then I've got intelligence, I want to say.
It doesn't.
No.
And then I'm wearing the Nox swordstress garb. With the beautiful flowing like
I don't think
light.
I've seen that.
Oh, my character looks so fucking good. Like, I only care about my character looking good because I'm playing an RPG, man. I want to play how I want to play it. So I would wear this in real life.
Yeah, part of me used to think, I need to focus on what's the best stats, but then I'll see something that looks really great. Mm-hmm. And I've decided, as often as I can, I like to not wear a helmet because I want to see my face.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a concession of bad fantasy movies and television. It's like, you got to see Keanu's face. Why else would you have Keanu?
Why would you take the mask off Batman?
Yeah.
My character looked like a fucking hobo yesterday. Yeah, I was wearing.
What did you wear?
I had Cadian armor and Cadian armor. I had
Carian?
Katie? No, the fucking Kaiden. Yeah,
Kaiden armor. Oh, I've got the Kaiden gauntlets.
I had the armor and the helmet, so that matched. But then I was wearing Exile gauntlets and greaves, and then that armor that you told me about.
That's the Carian.
I went and got that.
Yeah.
And now that's what I'm wearing. And I look like a G. Yeah. I look real good.
Yep.
It actually, I was worried because you said it was like early game armor. So I was worried that like the stat, I wasn't going to get
It's
nice
easy
stats
to
from
get
it.
early game. It doesn't mean it's early game though.
No. I think the greatest thing about this game, right off the bat, is that the things you upgrade are your weapons. You don't have to upgrade your clothes. In previous Souls games, you're upgrading everything that you have. And it's just you hunting and mining for essentially like whatever the fuck you need. How many times did I spend time in one hallway for a drop rate of something for essentially like stones to build up my equipment? Like this one, it's like, hey, these clothes are going to be exactly what they are. Go with it. I'm like, I don't have to focus on that shit. That's chuff. They cut out the chuff. They finally did. They finally made it a little more accessible.
Yeah,
I was like,
for me, that was that's super nice that I can just worry about leveling up like my summons or
Yeah.
my weapons. And then because the stats and scaling and shit took me, like, I felt like I should have probably taken a college class just to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Don't worry, that's the rest of this episode. Yeah.
That is.
I feel like I'm just now getting a handle on it.
I played 100 hours and there's still things like, wait, what?
I'm still.
I just found out that equip load affects iframes yesterday, and that really bothered me.
Oh man, I'm so close to a heavy load too.
No, that's okay. Once you hit heavy load, it's bad. Are you?
Remember
what
whenever-
weapon are you using primarily?
I'm using that. I'm gonna butcher the name. I think it's the Serpent of the Gods sword.
Oh,
the
that's a good
HP
one.
back. It's got like it's got slashing damage. And I think I got it up to like I think it's a plus 13 right now.
I've got Lusat's Crystalline Scepter,
Lusat's got some badass stuff too.
but you have to have 52 intelligence to wield it.
Yeah, some of those are pretty high.
Man, yeah.
And I made it to 52 intelligence. My character is a glass cannon for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
A
very popular build in Soul speedrunning is the glass cannon.
I clearly have very powerful spell making, but you have to know how to keep your distance. And frankly, at this point, I'm an old vet, like Brad says, so I can. There's a certain, like, when you face certain enemies, they can really close the gap quick. But if you kind of know how to space yourself, you can become like a straight G, dude. Like, I destroy. I have 9 slots of magic.
Yeah. Yeah, you can increase slots. We'll get into that. But yeah, so that's a lot of spells to cycle through, though, too.
Oh, no, it's this.
Yep, I do that too because I got 7.
Yep.
There's a lot of unique handholds for this game.
Yeah.
I think that's still a problem that it needs to address.
Well, I know that Tom has attachments for, I think, his Xbox controller where it remaps
Underneath?
some of the buttons to like his pinky, and
Well, he's got an Elite version 2, I believe.
he can map buttons back there,
Yeah,
so
I know.
that would do a lot.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you want to do it earlier.
I'm not
before
going to learn. You know,
We're old dogs.
I still forget
we're Elden
this game
dogs.
has jumping. I still forget that this game has
Praise the jumping.
because
Praise the jumping, because Bloodborne. There's a very easy piece of armor to get when you're going down to the fuck. You're going through like that village, and you have to just like go off of a cliff to another cliff, just like 3 feet away, and you have to try and time your roll because your roll is kind of a jump sometimes.
Well, the roll
And
is the jump.
I just fall like 8 times in a row.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
But there is a jump in this game, and it is miraculous. And you
works
guys
very well.
You both recently joined the next generation
truly
of
did.
gaming.
Yes. Yes,
I
we did.
had the esteemed pleasure of playing this on an original Xbox One.
On an
Which I
original
call-
PlayStation 4.
Well, I call your
you
Xbox
go.
One a chunky boy because that is like
Well, it's not mine anymore. I sold it.
now it's Matt's.
Now it's Matt's.
Yeah, and he won't be playing Elden Ring on it.
No, he won't. He'll be playing some Game Pass bullshit that probably I'll never touch, but it's fine.
But good for him.
I know, thank God. Like, it's got to get use.
Yeah, what was your thoughts going from the original Xbox One to a Series X?
Oh well, at first the jump was a little bit difficult because when you do the transfer, the backup and transfer, you have them both connected to the Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah. It's kind of a weird situation.
It didn't work.
Mine didn't either on the PlayStation.
It didn't fucking work. It didn't work at all. In fact, what happened was, like, it started to download it, and then it would just like quit out and stop. It just wouldn't download anything from my Xbox One to my Xbox Series X. And I was just getting frustrated. I'm like, I just want to play these fucking video games. And I thought this was going to be an easy fucking transfer. It's Game Pass shit. My Xbox is still technically a Game Pass machine. And I'm just like, well, why can't it just like, like one to the other? And it took me probably over a day to get everything back up and running on it.
I remember coming over and seeing your Elden Ring on Xbox One.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be rude in someone's house, but like, dude, this looks bad. I don't know how you can play this. Are you joking? I thought it was like a reality show.
I'll tell
and you're
you.
like, no, doesn't it look good?
It did look good. It still does look good.
For an Xbox One, it looked great, but the frame rate and the loading and stuff, and then
the loading.
you texted me the next day. You said, I feel like I'm cheating. It's so good now.
I have become so much better at the game.
When you said that, I was I had it in the back of my mind. So when I started playing on the PlayStation 5, you're definitely 100% right. Like it was.
I felt like I was in a completely different video game.
Someone said it on one of the last episodes we did, where I felt like Gohan when he takes off the weighted.
Oh yeah,
the
Goku.
weighted
Yeah.
like these weigh 10,000 pounds. Like I am definitely much better at the game than I thought.
I'm fucking god tier now. Here's the biggest problem is that when you're facing down enemies and the enemies have very specific attack patterns, as all Souls games characters do, when you get that extra little bit of like telegraphing where the frames of the animation, you can kind of pay more attention to them because it's running at 60 frames per second. Like that makes you better at the game, period.
Yeah, I was definitely working with a hindrance with my old one. Because if I like the bats, the wolves, or like anybody that was super fucking big, like Godric,
Or a lot of,
they would like start clipping out. Like you would
clipping.
see like they're only moving they're barely moving their wings or whatever.
Especially draw distance too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so pretty.
Yeah. God, it's such a good game.
I think I spent like a solid 15 minutes yesterday just like riding around looking at shit. I didn't even fight anything. I'm just like, look at that view.
It's just and it's really great after you get to the very end game because like from the beginning I can look up and see I know that place like off in the way distance. You can really pick apart the map, which is saying something to just designs and silhouettes. If you can,
Nothing's a set piece.
if you can identify with some, there is some reused assets for small things, but as far as
especially like mines,
shacks, mines, some of like the extra little dungeons, but
the mines pissed me off because I remember going down into a mine and I'm like, oh my God, it's just shaded blue now.
well, and it's I've done this dropping section before.
Yeah.
But
Which is fine. The reuse of these types of assets are okay. I don't think they're egregious. Final Fantasy fucking does it all the time.
And they'll reuse assets, but then all of a sudden there will be a twist on it. And they do keep them fresh. Generally, every cave or dungeon you go into, there is some sort of a nuanced thing, different enemies, hidden things. Yeah. There is at least sort of not like a gimmick, but an idea behind a lot of it. And also, as we talk through the show, things are going to be discovered because the storytelling, the depth, the lore, and everything in this game is constantly being discovered or unveiled and relearned. So if we get something wrong, we will try not to, but it's also exciting. And if you guys know something we don't, let us know. We'd love to hear it and talk about it. But
I'll let Brad know.
I did 8 pages of lore outlines today for something we won't talk about forever. But I need to know what the fuck happened.
Oh, I've been watching YouTube.
And there's just a depth of YouTube videos too. But
I'm literally sitting on my porch smoking a pipe. I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck?
Elden Ring was directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, the legendary Soulsmith himself.
Truly.
Director of Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1 through 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro.
He did not direct 2.
He did not direct 2.
Nope.
Did he oversee it?
He oversaw it, but he did not direct it.
Okay.
Dark Souls 2 was being made as they were making Dark Souls 3.
Interesting. And I know Elden Ring was being worked on concurrently with Sekiro as well.
No, he was directing Bloodborne as Dark Souls 2 was being directed and made. He just kind of oversaw, like, here's the guts. Go with it. Like, does this work? Does this not? He's basically a Miyamoto figure.
Yeah.
And you said his last name was Miyazaki?
Yep.
Okay, because that tracks. Because when I was in high school, I was like, fucking, he made Spirited Away, and now he's making these like dark ass games. Like, what's going on?
Just another Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Yes, not Hayao.
It's a fairly common last name.
But yeah, Miyazaki. There's a lot that could be said about Miyazaki, but I'm sure you've heard a lot of it. He's a legend. This was co-written by George R.R. Martin, who is my favorite fictional author.
That's what.
Who?
That's what got me on. That was the selling point for me when I heard that George, because I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan.
When you say that, do you mean the Song of Ice and Fire book series, or you like the show?
Both.
Okay.
The show up till the end of season 6, because then fuck that bullshit.
I'll go till season 4. But those first 3
I think
seasons.
five's okay.
No, 5 and 6 were good.
They had
Five's
good
okay.
moments. There was also
Yeah.
some egregious things, but
Like teleportation.
like Bronn and Jamie having a buddy cop film in Dorne when Jamie's supposed to be having a personal character journey through the Riverlands, echoing his earlier journey. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
No, the books are fantastic, and also George R. R. Martin's just world building, and
He's like the Michael Jordan of world building.
I
That works,
have,
right?
Absolutely.
I have to wonder how much of this is his. I truly okay. So you guys haven't played Dark Souls. There's so much of this that is so caked and battered, like fried to shit with Dark Souls, which makes me wonder.
yeah.
And this is a question I would ask George R. R. Martin tomorrow if I got to have one question with him.
She had big boobs.
Her breasts sat real nice upon her chest.
Her naked breasts were by the plate of cheesecake. 10
were-
pages later, the cheesecake was gone.
They were nice to kiss. The thing I would ask him literally tomorrow, I would be like, did you play Dark Souls?
Well, yeah, obviously. That's why the win's a
Dude,
winner.
but
haven't come
no,
out.
hold on.
He's really fucking busy.
He's like, yeah, he wrote, yes. But I would ask him that question because I'd be like,
I can't get out of Anne Orlando. I'm stuck here.
You know the name Anne Orlando, and you're upsetting me, Brad.
It's impossible not to know those things.
I know, but you're.
I also, in my
you know-
other show, I have to watch speedruns of the Souls series, so I've
Jesus
learned things.
Oh man, so everything's been spoiled for you.
I know who Smo is,
Yeah,
I don't.
I Smo rules, dude.
but George R. R. Martin.
It's pronounced Smoff.
Okay, George R. R. Martin, though, his personal strengths are absolutely world building. It takes him forever to write the Game of Thrones, Clash of Kings, but he can crap out an entire world lore for like the Targaryens, or
He just knows myth.
he knows myth, and he knows how to essentially write really evocative fake history books. And
Yeah.
he knows religion. He knows how to like pepper in mysteries without answers that are evocative. And
He also knows how to fuck.
can't confirm, but he knows how to write about fucking. I can confirm that.
He does have a son, so there is at least
I didn't know
one.
that.
He does
He
have a son,
has a
right?
son?
Or is it
I
a
don't
brother?
know.
It's a brother.
He has
I
a
think.
turtle.
He has a
turtle.
brother, so he obviously knows how to fuck.
He's got somebody in his life who loves him. All right.
Yeah, it's true.
No,
It's
he's getting laid back and forth.
So,
let's be clear.
Miyazaki and Martin's collaboration. The idea was Martin would write the overarching backstory of the game's universe. Miyazaki used his contributions. Then they were essentially, this is like the main characters, the families, the ancient history.
Yeah.
He sent it all to him, and then Miyazaki used those contributions as the foundation of the game's narrative.
I'm so
comparing
sus about all this.
Well, this is what they both have said. Comparing the process of that of using a dungeon, this is Miyazaki using a dungeon master's handbook to a tabletop RPG. This is a outline of what you can do. And Miyazaki also said he would like to see George R. R. Martin's response to seeing things, because I'm sure he wrote complicated families and half siblings. And then all of a sudden he sees Godric the Grafted and he's got 10 arms. And he's like, oh, I just thought he would be like an obscure grandson or something, but okay. And he definitely brought a soulsification to a lot of this, but I think the concepts of like the Erd Tree, the dragons, all of that, that comes from George R. R. Martin. And then Miyazaki came in and soulsed it up.
I think you're right. And there's like, I think actually this has a depth that the other ones don't achieve in terms of storytelling. And I don't know if it's totally like George R. R. Martin, or maybe the fact that this world is so open and large that there's not really like I don't think there's a lot to kind of hold on to. There's a lot more, what the fuck? Like stumbling upon things. Whereas in the other games, you could be like, oh, I'm in the Undead Burg. I know what the Undead Burg is because everyone became hollowed and they eventually all lost their mind because of this illness, because the fire is dying. That's a very simple one. But then you go into this and you're just like, oh, there's a chick just talking to me at these sites of grace. Who are you? What is up, man?
Miyazaki hoped, this was funny when I heard this, hoped Martin's contributions would produce a more accessible narrative than the studio's previous games.
No, this is way more confusing.
I put LOL. I was like, there is more story in the game, but I don't think it's more accessible.
No, I
It's
have
not
no
accessible.
idea what the fuck is going on.
not
You know, it's strange though, because after going through and like doing a lot of research and learning this stuff, I get it now. But while playing it, what the fuck is a Godskin Apostle? I don't know who these Albinarics are. The Nox. But
Are the Albinarics that guy that we were talking about that the other day? I got the medallion from.
there are two kinds of Albinarics that will be discussed in 3 or 4 episodes from now.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Am I right though?
That's something.
one?
Yeah, he is a kind of Albinaric.
Okay, cool.
Yes, and
Oh boy.
this was developed by From Software. Work began on this game in early 2017, following a piece of DLC for Dark Souls 3, and this was developed alongside Sekiro. It was released February 25th, 2022, 12 million copies within the first 3 weeks of release. It is a third-person action RPG with a dark fantasy setting featuring a vast open world to break it down into the chorus of components. And there is a depth to this game that is hard to put into words.
I tried to sum it up to somebody the other day, and I think I agree with the sentiment. I don't know how you guys feel, but so when I played Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time, there was a level of realism in the world where events and NPCs and stuff just seemed more human than normal, and I felt like that was a benchmark for games moving forward. That like this is now the bar has been set for what an NPC or the AI can do in a game to make a game and a world feel real and lived in. And coming to this game now, the sense of exploration and open worldness that we have, and just allowing the play. I feel like we've hit that benchmark again.
I think you're right.
I feel like moving forward, games are going to try and copy this. They're going to learn from it. They're going to try and do it again.
They're going to try and come out and say it's garbage, and everyone's going to attack them on Twitter. I think it was like Assassin's Creed people or something like this. The quest thing is broken. Everyone's like, you guys fuck off. Like,
well, it's so funny. The even talking about this game has been so interesting because I am so on board that Souls train that now there are so many people jumping on board, and I welcome them. I welcome everyone. I think great art deserves to be seen and played if we're talking about video games. And I was talking to someone and I almost got incensed. I almost became a little bit of a jerk.
Whoa.
Me?
Dylan the Dung Eater?
Dylan the Dung Eater. I'm going to draw that tonight. It's just going to be me eating poop. Like a log out of a
Of all the ways you could have taken it.
That's how I interpret it.
Literal.
Yeah.
But I was talking
I
to
imagine you hanging in the gallows like in the opening image, eating like a poop on the cob.
But
A poop kebab.
A poop kebab.
I was talking with someone and they're like, "Oh, I never got into these Souls games because they're just so difficult, and they should put like a different mode in there." I'm like, "Nope." I immediately was like, "Nope, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're dumb. You're stupid." No,
you're right. You're absolutely right. It
completely belies the purpose of its existence.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that like, especially with like video games, we treat them like fucking Marvel movies. Like they have to be appealing to everyone. I'm like, why does this? Was this made for you?
Yeah. Oh, the lighthouse.
Oh well, I think art should be accessible for everyone. No, that's not the fucking point of art. And I heard Miyazaki say like, if we lowered the difficulty, it would completely ruin what we made.
Yeah.
The balance is what makes the game.
Yes.
Yeah. I was so frustrated by dying. Like, there's definitely marks that you hit with my first Souls game. So, like, I got super pissed off because I kept dying. And then when you realize, like, dying's part of the fucking process. Like, you got to learn this shit.
Yeah.
And you got to go get those runes back before you die again, inevitably.
Well, and I've only played Bloodborne in earnest outside of this.
Yeah.
And I can say, dying in there, I had a long loading screen. And then I had to have a long run to whatever boss I was fighting. Right. They don't have a fucking Stake of America in that game. You are probably halfway back, and you have to take 2 elevators, run past 30 enemies to get beaten in 5 seconds of the boss, and then do it again. And so this game, I was like, oh my God, this is great. I mean, it's a blessing because there is so much to this game that if there's no need to artificially extend length through that or difficulty. This game is definitely meant to be, kind of gloss over some of the issues that non-veterans had. It's supposed to make it a little more approachable to some people. It is.
And frankly, to anyone who says that these games are inaccessible for you, either A, you don't have the determination. Some things are just hard. Some things are difficult. You have to deal with that. Like, it's like, okay, well, there you go. You've got what you've got. But there is a way to make these games easy mode. It's called farming.
Not just farming, but farming and using all of the different tools you have too.
But for the most part, there is a way to make the game easier. The game gives you the tools. Like even for us, I'm not facing Godric the Grafted at level 13. Like I'm facing him at level 34. And could I face him at 13? Maybe I could survive it, but at 34, it's a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, but some people will also just go in their level 10 buck naked. And
Justin Sapp is not leveling up.
Yeah, I know he's not leveling up.
He's a level 1, and he's on Renala now.
Are you fucking kidding? He's at Renala?
Yeah, and he's level 1, and he is not leveled up. And that's
a rough fight.
He's a wretch.
I thought, well, we will talk about some of those.
No, I think
at the time, but yeah. And it's funny that you can say that's a tough fight. To me, I got it second try.
No, I got it the first try, but it's tough. Like the amount of books she sends at you, I fucking hate it. I fucking hate that. Only in the first phase.
Now,
so far, I've had the hardest time with Market. But
would you guys want to talk an intro to the lore or gameplay mechanics first?
I think mechanics are probably the most wise choice because
I feel like we're kind of on that path anyway.
Okay.
Naturally.
New game. You'll start with creating characters, starting archetypes, determining starting stats and equipment. This game has 10 options for starting classes.
Fucking wild.
I think it's important to note that you can choose any of these and
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And not only, I mean, it'll affect some early game stats that can easily be just leveled different ways. And also you have opportunities to respec later on completely.
I think the only one that really matters is the Wretch. Because you start at level 1, and
I think you're right because.
But even the Wretch has 10 stats of everything, which aren't bad stats. It's an even stat, and a lot of other classes will have something low as 6.
Yeah, I think the Prisoner starts with 6 arcane or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. And so they're all different. Essentially, though, it's going to be you have Vagabond, which is vigor and strength, dexterity, sword, halberd, and shield.
So the knight class.
The knight class, you have the warrior, which is going to be dexterity with a lot of medium physical stats.
That's a fun one.
Yep, you start with two scimitar and a shield. The hero will be strength and vigor. That's more of the knight class. That's a battle axe and a shield.
No, the knight is definitely the vagabond.
So the hero is more of a tank.
That's the barbarian.
The hero is a
barbarian.
Guy, right?
The barbarian.
Yeah.
If we're talking classic tropes. Yeah.
The bandit is arcane and dexterity, knife and bow.
The thief, yeah.
Yep. Astrologer will be your sorcery class.
That was me. That's what I chose.
Yep. Intelligence in mind. You also have a short sword because every magic class should have a physical weapon at some point. At least in
this, you don't technically need it right away.
At least in the beginning part of the game, though, you probably will want to have something to lean on. Especially if you're going to be the prophet, which is incantations and spears.
The prophet is a good starting class.
There's not a lot of great incantations early on, though.
No, there are not.
Yep. So,
but later, I was actually kind of jealous. I'm like, I chose sorcery, and look at all these fucking incantations.
I respect.
You went faith?
Yeah, I respect into faith because they was just too enticing.
I miss pyromancy. I miss my big pyromancer boy.
Yeah.
I miss my hard as fucking rip ass fucking fire starter. And this one, pyromancy is essentially. It's the arts. It's like your sword arts. That's what it's taking the place of.
Well, there's tons of fire incantations.
No, but in Dark Souls, pyromancy is not scaling with intelligence.
Scaling is handled a lot differently in this game, from my understanding.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they really hide from you.
And then you have the samurai, dexterity and medium physical stats. We'll talk
That's an
about what
okay
these stats mean, but you start with an uchi katana and a longbow. Very cool looking class.
I beat the first boss with a samurai.
Yeah, I feel like the samurai is the best, like, new person. Like, if you're new to the game, that's a good starting class because you get the ranged bow. The sword is strong as fuck. You got
the sword is very strong,
and I think you have the most.
The blood damage is very nice. The blood loss build
Bleeding.
up. Yeah.
Plus, I think you start with the most endurance with the samurai.
You do.
So you can, like, new players who might think it's like a hack and slash, or that's kind of how I started with the samurai. That was super nice.
The ranged option is nice. I think the bows work better than they've ever worked because if you've played them in any other incantation of this, you're fucking in the weeds. Like, this is actually like...
What's ranged combat like in the Souls games?
Oh, they're bad. It's all bad.
How about Sekiro?
He doesn't have any.
I wasn't sure.
No, Wolf doesn't have any. No. It's all... That's why Sekiro is so pure, though. It's all about counters and dodges.
Yeah. It's kind of a more unified game experience for what
It's actually... That's the reason it's a better game. The reason
Super
it's a better
focused.
game... Well, the reason it's a better game is because either you learn this game or it tells you to kind of fuck yourself, which that's why I didn't sell
That's usually what my co-hosts tell me.
Yeah, well, you could.
We got the prisoner, intelligence and dexterity. Starts with an S-stock, E-stock, S-stock?
A stock. Yep.
S-stock and a staff, kind of like a spellblade
He's
class.
got the magic. He's got an actually decent spell to start out with, the magic glint blade.
Yeah, that's a good weapon.
Because it's
way to
delayed.
go.
Because the reason it's good is it's because it's delayed. Because the AI doesn't afford that. Because if you were to just let off a spell, they can dodge and roll.
Yeah.
Especially human style characters that you face.
Yeah.
But with this one, the fact that it's delayed, you can distract them so they're going to get hit by multiple like shots as you're fighting them.
Yeah, you can drop. I was dropping like 2 of them,
Yep.
and then rolling up and hitting them,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, and they're dead.
And the prisoner also has a very dope helmet mask thing with one eye.
It is so
That is legitimately ripped from Berserk, the comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, Griffin.
Which
It's Griffith,
Yeah.
yeah, we could
My
do a
bad.
whole episode probably discussing inspirations, but I know you mentioned Berserk.
Oh, I'll talk about Berserk any day.
We'll talk about Berserk as it comes up throughout this entire show, and I will, of course, mention George R. R. Martin stuff when we can as well.
But like Miyazaki is huge on Kentaro Miura, and you can tell it based on everything that this game has and what's going for it. Like, there's always going to be some inspiration ripped from them. R.I.P. buddy, he's dead. It's been a year. It's been awful for me personally.
Yeah, it sucked. I was just about to buy the manga and
Why
really
don't
delve
you?
in. Well, I'm still going to, but like, I got really excited about something. They're like, yeah, he died. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, he fucking croaked. I fucking hate
I was going to get into Mozart, but I hear he's dead. So why even listen to him?
Yeah, that was kind of, well,
I was gonna get into
put
God.
in my mouth.
I was gonna get into
Son of a
God,
bitch.
but huh.
Turns out he's gone.
Nietzsche says so.
Dude, he's dead too, man.
Yeah.
What?
We'll have to put all faith into Nier Automata now.
Yoko?
Yep, Yoko Taro. We have Confessor, who's going to be a faith and kind of medium physical stats. Leans on incantations and a broadsword.
That one's fun.
That one's okay too. And then, of course, the Beloved Wretch, which starts with stats of 10 in everything.
Yeah.
Naked and a nice club. It has a nice club.
They have a nice club. It's true.
You can also change your body type, age, and all of that stuff. Glabulas and chin widths and...
Well, the biggest problem with these, even like in Dark Souls, is that it actually increases your hitbox size. So there's no actual benefit to being a fat man in any of these games.
But what if you want to look sexy?
But I mean, like, if I want to be a fat man, I'm going to be a fat man.
Well, do you have increased...
No, you don't. You don't have increased poise.
No, do you have
based on your
increased
size.
hitbox when wearing fatter armor?
No.
Okay. Because there's a big belly armor that I like to wear, but also...
As far as listen, as far as I know, no, because
also, there's a lot to this game.
I know.
Yeah.
I could honestly, people could correct me. I wouldn't know, and I don't really care. But like, because they can fuck themselves. But it's like From what I know, though, in the early Souls games, is that being skinnier was actually more beneficial, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, and also generally, and it's a better, healthy way to live in real life too.
I did make a character that looked a little like me because I like to pretend that I'm cool enough to be in worlds like this.
Oh yeah. My first character looks like me.
Yeah,
and then I made Carly as my sorceress.
Oh, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, she deserves it. Didn't look like her though.
There's a lot of optimizations in there.
No, but you should have really spent time with it. Like really made Carly. Come on.
Well, I'd spent maybe 15 minutes, and I don't think it's bad. But
no, I doubt it's bad. I didn't take a good look.
Yeah, and then you also, besides that, you get to choose a keepsake. There's 9 keepsakes that you can start with.
Whew.
Golden seed, which will give you an extra flask. A stone sword key.
Depending.
Sure. Lands between rune, just getting you some more runes to start off the game. Crimson Amber Medallion, increase HP. A bunch of other things, which are generally one-use items or something that the usefulness won't go as far. I won't mention them all, but I went golden seed.
I went golden
seed.
Yep.
I think actually that's the most beneficial one to start out with.
Absolutely.
The swordstone key, that one's okay.
You're gonna find enough though to where
Yeah.
I mean
You can literally just fucking buy them.
I'd rather just get that extra flask to start the game with.
I miss certain ones where you can pick them and you won't know what the fuck they are until 3/4 of the way through the game. In Dark Souls, they're gonna ask you that as well.
Yeah.
And you're it's like, it's a key. Oh, what's the key do? Well, who cares? We're not going to fucking tell you. Who gives a shit?
Did you check the item description? Because it's vague and mentions something.
By the way, get the key in Dark Souls. Just get the key.
Okay.
But it's but to have that level of wonder and kind of astonishment and exploration, that's the best.
So we're gonna be right back to discuss stats and weapon and damage types and
Damn, dude.
I want everyone to know there's a lot to the gameplay systems and mechanics. We're gonna go in depth on these for this episode for sure. And I was surprised in doing this research how much I didn't know and how much it's good to have these things elaborated on.
I hate to have it spoiled though. What about the mystery?
Oh well, this isn't mystery. This is just helpful things on
helpful
stats from Brad.
There's some things I know. I kind of got the gist. What's the most surprising thing you've learned, Bradley?
Well, there's a lot. It's little things. It's quality of life improvements. But we're just going to start right at the top under stats, under status. Mm-hmm. First thing you're going to see is your leveling up in this game. What you're going to be doing is defeating enemies is your primary way of collecting runes.
Okay.
And you take these runes that you get, smaller enemies, smaller runes. Goats have 7 runes. Do you kill the goats? It's target practice, I guess. I don't know. I don't kill.
Need them bones.
I don't
the
kill
pretty birds that look out off the cliffside.
Yes, there's penguins as well. Mm-hmm. I don't kill penguins, and I refuse to kill turtles because they are the mascot for our show. And also, the turtles are just fine. The turtle neck meat though is good. I won't pass it up if I see it.
I mean, it helps boost your stamina recovery.
Leveling up though, the higher levels you get, you're also going to be required to get more runes. If you die when you're out in the world, your runes will drop where you left them, and you will come back at your nearest site of grace.
I still call them souls.
Yeah.
I'm so awful.
And I noticed that I feel like the game kind of helps you when you die by placing the runes in a convenient place. Well, because I've died in some pretty precarious spots where
they
I'm
don't put it exactly in the spot where you died anymore.
I feel like it's always better than where I died.
Yep.
Because I've died in some really shitty spots, and I'm like, well, there's 1,400 or 14,000 out the window, and then come back to find out that it's a good sizable distance away from where I died.
20 feet away from the dragon.
Well, I feel like now if you fall off a cliff, it's going to make it so that it's right above the cliff, not at the bottom of it.
That'd be funny if they left him down there.
Play Dark Souls. You'll figure
no. It out. And something else that I was aware of, but kind of didn't even think about that much. There are also soft caps when you're leveling up, where when you reach a certain level in a stat, increasing the attribute starts to have diminishing returns.
Yes. Yep.
So, say, for example, with Vigor, the first soft cap will be level 40. Up until then, the HP increases from 26 to 13 every time you do it. it increases from 26, then at level 40 it goes to 13. So you're only getting
okay.
half as much, and it gets smaller and smaller. And each stat will have a different soft cap. You can find these tables online. I won't go through all of them, but just know that at some point you're going to be getting less leveling up certain stats past certain numbers.
Isn't it normally like
want it to be cheap.
25, 40, 50 or something like that?
They're different for all the stats,
oh,
actually.
shit.
So normally, from what I've observed on the stat increases that I've gotten, at 20 you experience the biggest growth, and then at around 50 it dips out. So my intelligence, when I had my really nice just starter staff, I would increase my intelligence, and then suddenly like the damage my staff will do would probably go like 4, like a 4 increase. But then once it hit 30, it would be like, then it's 3. No, there are some strange kind of caps, but I think the caps are intermittent. They don't like they don't illustrate them either. They don't tell you how this is going to work, which kind of adds to the mystery and the lore of whatever the fucking game is. But they're also like, oh, all right, I'm at level 52 with intelligence. My strength of my attacks are not going up anymore.
Yes.
I might as well focus on another stat, which I'm going to do as endurance. I decided I'm going to do endurance because then my equip load can go up, and then I can send off more spells because using a spell costs endurance. So from what I'm going to do, I'm just basically going to make a heavy armored spellcaster.
I heard somewhere that dexterity will allow you to cast faster.
It does.
I don't know if that is it true.
Let's talk about these things. Right at the top, we have Vigor. This primarily will affect HP. Also,
Hey, that's my word.
Also, it boosts fire resistance and immunity.
It does.
Immunity is a player's resistance to poison and scarlet rot, so those also increase there. Mind will govern your FP, and that affects focus, which also affects focus, which is going to be resistance to sleep and madness.
Yep.
Endurance governs stamina and robustness. Robustness is your resistance to blood loss and frostbite. It also affects your equip load, which is something good for people to understand, because I was playing with, I think it was just medium.
Did I have to explain? I've explained fat rolling to you.
Well, yeah, I didn't know what fat rolling was, because if you're a heavy load, your fat roll is bad.
It's impossible.
And
It's impossible to play the game with a fat roll.
I mentioned it earlier, you also have fewer iframes the heavier you are. If you're a heavy load, you have very few iframes. Yep. If you're over encumbered, which you can be past your weight limit, you can't roll at all. And you move very slow. Animations are slow, and if you are a light load, light load, fast roll, lots of iframes. Medium is normal, average. Yeah. And
I might like to try being a light load.
I'm trying to work down to it.
You won't.
I don't think I'll ever get there.
If you wear,
you got to wear the exact right equipment, and it is so unforgiving. It really is. It like even in the original Dark Souls, it's like if you don't have the set, then you're screwed.
Yeah, and with the armor I have now, I'm like right on the I'm teetering onto a heavy load because I haven't really put many points in endurance.
Yep, that's why I wear full night set and then socks, just socks for my feet. That way I'm not too heavy.
Well,
Plus, there's good talismans that will increase equip load, which goes a long way. A long way.
I got one of them.
That one's okay. That sword one.
There's multiple ones.
I know,
you can get some really good
yeah.
ones later, but
like I'm like, I experiment with it. I'm like, oh, look at this. Oh, how's it going? That's the brilliant. That's the brilliant thing about this game is that first of all, I didn't just digest this game. When I first got Bloodborne, I spent 3 days being gobshit cuckoo about it. And I was like, I experienced all it had to offer. I literally was able to comb through all of it, and I figured it out. And I've obviously played these before, and I was like enamored by it, honestly. But then like a game like this comes out, and I'm like, where do I go next? What am I doing? It's awful.
And then we have strength. This will govern your attack power of heavy armaments and your physical defense. dexterity, which is what you had a question on. This governs the attack power of advanced armaments, kind of more difficult weapons, nuanced weapons, but reduces spellcasting time. So you were right there. It softens fall damage, which it doesn't make too big of a difference. You either survive or you die.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of give there.
Especially on Torrent.
And it makes it harder to be knocked off your horse, which is a nice thing because whenever a tree sentinel would knock me off my horse and I'm just fucking slow to get back up.
I'm currently at the Royal Capital. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah. And yes, intelligence will govern your glintstone sorceries, improves magic resistance. Faith will be your sacred incantations. And arcane is kind of an odd one. It governs discovery, which is the likelihood of finding items and rarer items on enemy drops.
So does dexterity, it speeds up your...
Reduces spell casting time.
What about incantations?
That's a spell, so yes.
Okay, sweet.
It's all spells, yeah.
Because like the two buffs that I use a lot take a minute. And I'm doing like a Dex Faith build now. So like...
You're doing a Dex Faith build?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I got to find a new weapon because my strength is good enough scaling wise for the weapon that I currently have, that serpent HP fucking thing.
Yeah.
But I want to get... Might rock a double sword and then incantations.
Twin Blade?
Yeah.
There, that scythe that you get, that's
the winged
Dex. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
I got
winged
that.
Scythe. That's a really good starting one for a faith build. I mean, I honestly, I literally told him, since I didn't look any of this up, what happened, right, for me was I stumbled upon a Dex weapon with intelligence scaling, and I was like, oh well.
It's so interesting when weapons scale outside of strength or dex.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's Moonveil. Oh, it's a katana. I finally get to practice the ways of the sword. I'm like, and I get it from a fucking magma dragon. Like, I'm like, what the fuck?
I still haven't found this son of a bitch.
Oh, it's in Caelid.
Yeah, it's in Western Caelid.
Oh, that would explain. I avoided that place like the plague, but I'm there now.
It is like literally the plague. And
I mean, I beat it to shit. And when I got that fucking sword, I was like, oh, my build makes sense now. I think the worst part
Iron Fist Alexander's like, ho ho, I am a jar.
I'm a jar man. Do you need my help when we fight?
Can I
hit me on my keister?
Can I eat the dead bodies when
we
you're
need
done?
We need to make that shirt with it's the Radon fight.
Yeah.
Featuring
The festival.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a...
The festival.
Oh my god, I will buy that shirt in a minute.
And Arcane governs discovery, holy defense, vitality, and certain magics as well.
Holy defense, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My
and
arcane is...
And it's extremely rare. Some weapons scale with arcane.
Some.
Yep. Not many, but...
All four of them.
Yep.
I don't know.
But I haven't experimented with them. There's...
Apparently they're quite good.
I have a list below. I forget the number. There's a lot of weapons. And if you can experiment with all of them. And they're all...
arcane is essentially luck. Let's put it that way.
But you also need it for those sweet dragon spells.
Dragon incantations require it. Yeah.
Because I need...
At the church?
Yeah. I killed one dragon. I don't have
You didn't get a heart?
No, I got the heart.
Guys, I'll tell you what. If church had dragons, I would go to church every Sunday. I'm just saying. Like, I'd be more likely to go if Placidusax was there.
Oh, I
Balls in your court,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus, if you get Placidusax, maybe Grand Sax or something in there, I'd be down. But...
you know who removed the boulder from his tomb? A dragon.
You know who
a
pushed
pumpkin
it?
head.
You know who pushed it right back? Kratos. We went over that in last.
Oh, and then there was a jar guy.
Equip load, we mentioned. The total weight of your equipped armaments and armor. Movement slows as it increases. And then you have poise. Poise was something I didn't really understand for most of my first playthrough.
Poise. Yes, queen. Yes.
Let's hear it for the poise.
Yes, queen. I love poise. I think poise is so interesting, and that's a huge Dark Souls thing. Poise is.
I've heard this is a kind of more akin to Dark Souls 1 poise.
It exactly is.
Yeah.
I missed it. I really did. There's something really there's something excellent about it. It's literally how much beating you can take before you're kind of shattered and that your character can get absolutely destroyed. So
Like not a shield break.
That's 100% what it is. Yep, that's like what I have. Nailed it on the head.
I nailed it on the head. I mean, I played the game, the dang games.
Enemies have varying amounts of poise as well. So let's say you're fighting a boss, certain bosses. If you jump forward and do a strong attack, that affects their poise more than like a regular attack. And if you just do heavy attacks, there's a point where their poise will break and they will collapse.
Yeah.
And that's great if you can get a boss to do that
and
specifically.
So you can get behind them. And then fuck
and
them
do
up.
a critical attack.
Yep.
But enemies have poise too, which is fun to note. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I've many a times with the Moonveil sword, especially, I've made bosses bleed, which is kind of rare to make a boss to get the point to get the bosses to a threshold that they will bleed or be staggered.
So you're like
is actually a lot harder.
So you're Snyder's Batman.
Basically, yeah.
Do you bleed?
Do you bleed? And then whenever anyone says anything about Martha's, I'm like, "Whoa, it's my mom."
Martha the Fell Omen.
I can't wait to get into the lore. I really have to research it though. That's my biggest problem.
I learned all of the history today. I spent like 4 hours just furiously typing.
Like Jim Carrey and Bruce Almighty.
Like Kyle's dad in South Park with fucking Bachman Turner Overdrive playing or something. And he's like trolling people online. That's what it was like. And Carly was just drinking coffee and worried about me.
She deserves it.
I mentioned discovery, and then there's also memory slots under there, the number of spells you can use at any time.
That's a new change. It used to be, and especially in Dark Souls, like when you increase like your mind or whatever, it usually increases your spell slots at a certain point. There are like thresholds for it. Now there are physical objects you have to get within the world to increase those, which I found really interesting. I wonder why they made that choice. Is it deliberately to gate off having a certain amount of spells early, or is it?
Maybe it could be overwhelming if you have access to too many right away, and it becomes kind of too intense for new players.
Maybe.
It's great that you can juggle, and you'll eventually have enough spell slots. Like I will have a Cure Scarlet Rot spell available, so it's on there if I need it. Also, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but when you're tapping through, if you have 10 items all on the thing, if you hold down, it goes to the first item no matter what.
I
Really?
just learned this.
No fucking way.
Like 2 days ago, and it has saved my ass since then.
Always have your crimson flask.
Tier.
That's
Yeah. And if that's on your first one, just hold the down button and it goes to the first one, which, would have been nice to know in my first 90 hours of playing, but we know now.
I just found
There's a
out.
boss I can probably beat tonight with that tip. So I think we're fine.
And let's do something really pedantic. Let's talk about controls. I did this based on the PlayStation controller.
The left analog stick makes you go forward.
It's true. It also crouches and stands up when you click it in. X is jump. Circle is dash, and it's also dodge roll.
It is.
Dodge roll has iframes. If you're new to the Souls games, this is an important concept to understand. No, I mean, you laugh, but
No, I know, but I'm
people are
keep
playing
going.
this, they don't know about it.
I know they don't know. It's fine. Keep going.
So an enemy's about to attack you. Right before it hits, dodge away, dodge towards him, dodge a certain direction.
It doesn't matter how big the attack is, you can dodge it if you do it at the right time.
I always dodge into the weapon.
Well, it's mostly about positioning. Sometimes you want to get closer. Sometimes you want to get more further away. Sometimes you want to get behind an enemy and
You want to get right between their legs.
I go for the
a
rump.
lot of them. Yeah.
I go for the rump, or I dodge into the attack, and that's where I've had the best success.
I think your instinct is correct. Essentially.
Wasn't an instinct. Somebody told me. So I can't take credit for it. They were like, you should. Because,
Get out of here.
sorry.
I mean, and a concept that is kind of hard to understand at first is, let's say you're in the middle of an attack animation and you hit another attack. You've already queued up what's happening next. So when that attack is done, you will do your next input. And so if you're spamming a button and you want to do something different, you're getting punished because you can't change. So
you can't spam. You should not spam anything in this game. Everything is about deliberation. You've got to actually understand what you're doing. Be safe.
be safe out there, man.
Dude,
Put a helmet on the soldier.
Yeah,
truly.
put a helmet on that soldier.
I think my next character will probably be entirely strength based because I don't know why I went with magic this round. I really don't.
I love magic. My
Magic is so good.
my experience with magic so far is wow, this is easy.
Yeah, that's why I fell into it though, because it was very
They
easy.
nerfed it.
Because when I got the game, I was able to chunk enemies so fast.
Yeah.
Like I started with the samurai and I went after Margit and I was like, this sucks.
Margit is so easy early without the patches. Margit was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Well, with magic,
anyone
You were
complains about
triggering
it.
95% of players.
I know I am. I'm like, oh, I just. Used
I've
my
heard
Great
from so
Flintstone
many.
chart.
I've heard from so many people that Margit was one of the most difficult first bosses in a Souls game they've encountered, and that's from people that I have very high respect for.
I agree that they're hard, and I can tell why they're hard. The problem is that I've played enough of these games to be like, I know how they're going to jump at me, and I know what they're going to do, and that ends up being like a lot of this ends up being predictable. Let's put it that way. This game is so good and beautiful, and I'm enamored by it every single time I fucking start it up. But I'll tell you one thing: there's so much Dark Souls DNA in this that I am almost not surprised. And it doesn't hurt my feelings because it's more of what I love. But I'm also like, yeah, I know what he's going to do now. Oh, it's a second. I'm like, oh, this boss was really easy to defeat. Oh yeah, there's a second phase.
You've experienced a lot of the different things.
The tropes are already they're already a part of me.
Yeah, and that's
which
great.
is good. No, but watching everyone else, like especially you, like.
Why did he have 3 different attacks? Why did he stagger that time?
Exactly. Like, and he got this like fucking hammer made of light, and he jumps at you fucking crazy now. I'm just like, yep.
Well, yeah, he got half HP. Of course, he's gonna pull out a fucking hammer of light.
He's just like done with you.
And the sheer panic that ensues.
Stop
He's
those
half tree now.
Stop those foolish ambitions, you tarnished bitch.
Exactly.
Oh my god, I hate it. Anytime that an enemy launches themselves in the air and then
I
just
hate that shit
hovers
too.
there, and they look like they're about to come down on you with the wrath of like the power of 1,000 waterfalls.
But then eventually you do reach a Zen state where you just watch it and dodge. And
And
once
then
you reach Zenhood, it is a very good feeling.
I have never played a game in my entire life that has given me more of an adrenaline rush or made my heart beat faster than this game.
God damn.
Because I get to a point with
sense of accomplishment.
Yes, I feel.
That's what it is.
I feel like I actually did something today. I didn't do my laundry and I didn't go grocery shopping, but I beat the fuck out of Godric, so I can go to sleep happy tonight.
Exactly.
But on top of that, like the sheer panic I feel every single time I fight a boss, and I get down to like where I know I got him in like 3 hits, and then it's just like fuck it, and I just hit every button.
Because you all of a sudden you said, "Oh, I'm gonna go into dum-dum mode because it doesn't matter because I have to get 1 hit," and then you get punished immediately.
Yeah, and it's like, how the fuck do you turn that part of your brain off?
There are some
Put
bosses
those
where
foolish ambitions to rest, I said.
there are some bosses where my dick turtles hard. Like he's just hanging out and he's just like, what are we doing? I'm like you might as well not exist.
And then shloop.
Like, I'm like, oh, you're bigger than that. And it's just stop it.
Well, I mean,
no.
You've learned this. Because there's still points where I was fighting some big old monstrous thing.
Yeah.
And beat him, put the controller down. And I should have noticed an achievement didn't pop up.
Nope.
And then
they don't care.
A face emerges out of a stomach. I'm like,
I mean, the Orphan of Kos. Just think about that for like a millisecond.
That was probably the most difficult boss for me in Bloodborne.
That is okay. Now Sekiro. I'm still
I haven't
stuck
played.
on the final. I'm still stuck. I've never beat Sekiro. I never will.
There is no hope for me.
I will never. I could try. I had all the pandemic to do it, and I just could not do it. And here I am before you now. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do it. I fucking sucked.
The jump. Also,
it's the hardest boss fight I've ever done in my entire fucking life.
The jump also has some iframes. Just so people know, jumping does have a number of iframes as well. Square is use item. You queue this up in your menu. You can have 10 different things in there, 10 different items. Definitely, though, the Flask of Crimson Tears and Cerulean Tears are what you want to know the most.
Yep.
That's 1 and 2, baby.
Crimson HP, Cerulean FP, and those can be increased
Fuck points.
different ways. Fuck points. That's what they call them. Triangle is event action. This will be opening chests, examining things, talking to characters. Also, accessing messages in front of ladders when I'm trying to fucking run away from things.
Or, God forbid, on the actual sites of grace.
Yeah. It's like, come on. I just need to touch it.
I turned off all of them. I had to.
Yeah. And we can talk about messages a little bit later, but R3 will lock on and change targets. L3, these are the thumbstick clicks, crouch and stand up. The center pad I put down for the PlayStation 5. What is that for the Xbox to turn the map on? Is that the start button or the back button?
What do you mean?
Because it's like the center button on the PlayStation 5 to bring the map up.
Oh, no, it's the with the new controllers, it is the leftmost button to bring up.
Kind of like select.
Essentially.
Okay. And the D-pad, down is how you switch your items. Right will switch your right-hand armaments. You can have 3 different armaments on there. Left is switch your left-hand armaments. You don't want to have 3 and 3 on each. Generally,
Well, it also increases your encumbrance,
which is the
not
problem.
Good.
Early on, I do like to carry a torch because you will need a torch in caves until you can get something else.
The lantern is easy to find, though, if you know.
Second or third merchant.
You can find it.
Yeah, but until you find that, get a torch.
But I also didn't need it. I can kind of suss my way through.
Crank up the brightness.
No, I don't. I can kind of suss my way through a lot of these situations. I'm like, you want to know what the key to? Do you want to know the real cheat about this game? Click in the right stick every time you enter a new place.
Because it'll lock onto
Looking
whatever
for shit.
hidden fuckers up there.
It won't fucking matter. You're done. You've already got it. And that's the cheat. That's literally my Dylan's cheat of the week. It's Dylan's cheat of the week.
Whoa, holding the 4 shoulder buttons in up X and twisted metal black for infinite ammo.
Exactly.
Cheat of the week.
I'm still upset you guys have the PS5 version.
And and if you hit up on the D-pad, switches your sorcery / incantation. You can have 2 to start off. You can get up to 10.
Jesus.
R1 is your right hand or 2-handed attacks. R2 is your strong attacks. Takes more stamina, breaks more poise, takes longer, benefits and disadvantages as well. L1 will be guarding if you're not wielding a weapon over there. And also certain things will also guard. And L2 is your skill. Weapons have skills. And yes, you can either...
Which is awesome.
You can either, if it's a normal type weapon, equip Ashes of War to those, or if it's a unique weapon, they come with things built in. You can't change those. Another very important to note, which I didn't know for the first 10 hours, maybe triangle plus R1. They told me this in the tutorial at the beginning. Lets you dual wield weapons.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Wait, it's triangle and R1, not triangle.
You hold
R1,
triangle
L1?
and then you hold triangle and then R1.
And then your guy goes like this, and he grabs the sword with.
God, I've been trying to dual wield, and I thought it was triangle R1 and
no,
L1. I'm like,
it's
this
not-
is
it's not dual
fucking
wielding.
cumbersome.
It's not dual wielding.
It's,
Yeah,
it's double handing. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, my twin blade, it goes from like you're swinging like a long sword to all of a sudden your Darth Maul spinning attacks
Darth
on.
Small.
Darth Small. Tiny guy, really angry.
Do you like my tattoos?
Last we will have revenge.
Do you like my tattoos and my horns?
My dad let me get tattoos when I was really little.
I'm an edgelord.
Let's talk about more silly stuff. Also, we didn't talk about the pouch. The pouch is important to know.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't use the pouch.
I use it.
That's hold triangle, and then your D-pad changes to what's in your pouch. These are wet items. You don't use as often.
I hate that.
I'd much rather have Torrent map to that, so I don't have to cycle through things by hitting down.
Torrent should have his own button.
There's so many buttons that are already used for things.
He
Torrent
does have his
should
own
have
button.
his
It's triangle up.
and down.
Yeah, see?
You went up?
Yeah.
God damn.
You're funny, Dylan.
I'm great.
I moved my summoning over there. Game changer. I don't have to cycle for that shit anymore.
Yeah, the cycling of summons. Ashes. Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so your HUD, your heads-up display, that's what we're going to call it. Top left will be the Great Rune equipped. We won't talk about that now. Red bar health, blue bar FP, green bar stamina. Stamina will naturally come back after a period of time. And something brilliant in this game, in non-hostile areas, it never decreases.
Yep. I noticed that the other day.
That's a quality of life thing that is brilliant.
Yes. Because why would you not want to travel faster? That
Why should I
that's
have to worry
actually
about how
brilliant.
fast I'm running if I'm not in a fight?
Well, yeah. Like if you're in like a moment of like danger, I get it. But then, I mean, fuck it. Who cares if no one's around? Like it's what would be the benefit of you being like, I can't sprint any farther. I can't.
Yep.
My character can't sprint any farther.
And you're just out
Damn
on
it.
the open map, and it doesn't matter. You're not fighting anyone. Just so your stamina doesn't decrease, which I think is brilliant.
Trying to get to Mikolash, and I'm just like,
He's so far.
He can't run. Ugh, he's so weak.
I like Mikolash a lot.
I love Mikolash.
Right underneath that, we'll have character effect icons. Usually, this is going to be 3 to 8 things that no one understands, and
What
it just
the fuck is going on with these?
Another thing that I don't understand about this game. Some of the icons, I don't know what they are.
well, there's
some have like I think arrows going up or down at times.
that's
Up means good, down means bad.
Inherently, I understood that, but what the fuck does the icon mean?
okay. Buffs with a square are permanent,
Keep talking.
and they come from equipment or great runes. So if
Okay.
it's a square, that stays there. If it's a diamond behind it, those are temporary with a duration.
So those are my buffs that I'm using from incantations.
Those are going to be either
Yeah.
from armor,
Okay.
incantations, items. Red icons increase HP, blue increase FP, green stamina. Also a fuck ton more. I'm not going to... There was a lot. And
There's a lot.
and I can't go through all of them. One good one to note is the little America icon.
I always
which-
look for her.
That's a good one to know.
To know if I'm, a little more cavalier with dying than I should be.
You feel safe about it
Yeah,
because you're
like-
going to respawn there.
I'm like, I'm just outside the mist. It's fine.
If you got through past all the fucking chariots, there better be a stake of America at that boss fight. There are also below the middle left of the screen, kind of that area, occasionally icons pop up there, and they're not as there's only a few that you see. If it's a blue door, summoning spirit ashes are available. If it's a gold circle, that means it's a graceful area. No attacking is allowed there.
That's what that means. I've seen that a couple times. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, round table hold, and
Yeah.
also it's just making sure you don't wind up killing things. There's a compass in the center of the screen. It'll also say the skill attached to the weapon that you have there.
Mm-hmm.
It'll say what skill you have available. And bottom right will have your rune count. Let's talk a little bit about status effects. Poison will, there's what do we got here? We have 7 different status effects, and they all affect you slightly differently. Poison, you will take damage slowly over a long period of time. Scarlet Rot does damage over time based on health. Now, this deals damage at a faster rate than poison, but it's a shorter duration. So the Scarlet Rot will fuck you up quick and be gone, whereas poison will stick around for a long time. It's like a hangover. Poison's a hangover. Scarlet Rot is stubbing your toe or something. I don't know.
Alcohol poisoning?
Alcohol poisoning. Hemorrhage, also known as bleed. You take damage equal to a percentage of your max HP.
Yep.
So if you are suffering from blood loss, it's always going to take a certain chunk. Frostbite will deal damage and lower damage absorption and stamina. You deal more damage you receive more damage if you're frostbitten.
Yep.
Which I know used to be in the other Souls games and it hasn't been around for a while, right?
There's no frostbite in the other games.
No?
No. But I did find this one like really refreshing because I found an axe with the frostbite damage in like the area outside of Raya Lucaria.
Yeah.
And that fucking weapon is good.
Yeah.
By the way.
I think I might have that.
You have it.
I think I do.
Upgrade it. It is so fucking good. There are certain bosses you can take down like this.
I do like me a nice axe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically a spell.
You're an
like,
Axeman.
I'm an axe man.
Yeah.
I'm an Axeman.
One of the most bizarre, obscure statuses is sleep. You don't run into it often.
I've never encountered it.
I've only had it once.
I watched some YouTube videos on this. You can get a sword that puts things to sleep. You attack something like 4 times and just lays down. You can critical hit it.
Yep.
And you can also get sleep arrows. I think part of
I have sleep arrows. I'm a bowman a little bit in this game, by the way.
part of the problem, though,
I have a horn bow.
from my understanding with sleep builds, is they require, I think, Trina's Lily, certain items. And those are items that will not respawn after you collect them, like materials. So they're
limited.
Yeah, there's a finite number of
fine.
sleep arrows you can build. But
Yeah.
everyone that I've seen using a sleep build, it's just silly and wonderful and fun.
It's great.
Madness is where you lose FP and you take HP damage. This is a lot more forgiving than Bloodborne's Frenzy, thank God.
I just encountered Madness for the first time at the Grand Lift.
Yeah.
It's heading up like
Dectus?
north. Yeah, after you beat Renala and you go through that, you get to the Grand Lift. I was going northeast, and
That's not even how I approach that. That's so
as
wild.
I get closer to this tower, it just fucks me up. I don't know where it's coming from.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I don't know what's happening to me. I'm trying to outrun something
Yeah.
I can't see. It's like the movie It Follows.
Try going to Mensis in Bloodborne, dude. You're going to be 2 miles away from something. You're like, why the fuck am I dying?
Yeah. And
It is
turns out it's
unforgiving in Bloodborne.
Well, it turns out it's a brain on a bridge.
As it normally is, I guess.
Brain on a bridge. Then there's instant death, which I didn't see too often early game, but Dylan was over here and I ran into an enemy in a certain area and he said, back the fuck off, you're gonna die. And that it's a slug-ish monster that they reuse from.
That's actually from Dark Souls, yeah.
Yep. And if this gauge fills up, you're fucking just dead. You're instant dead.
I ran into a crab. It was a lonely little crab.
These are kind of like bug-eyed salamander guys.
Oh, yeah. I just
Gray.
fought some of those in a cave.
Yeah.
I
They're
have
from Dark
the-
Souls. In Dark Souls, you want to know how this is actually way worse in that? Is that when you got cursed in that, 50% of your health is permanently taken off until you cure it.
Damn.
That's insane.
Yep.
I have a medallion that helps me against that.
You get turned to stone.
Yeah.
This one, I'm like, oh, fuck it. But I'm like, oh, it's my guys. Look at them. I'm like, look at where it's been 10 years, bros.
The boys are back in town.
Yeah, dude. Thin Lizzy shit.
All right. There's a beautiful world map you can access. This is for the first time in a Souls game, is my understanding.
A great map.
Beautiful map. I'd love to get a big poster of that.
I would love a picture of this map.
I'd also have to get a little poster for the underground right beside it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
yeah. I think this is brilliant. I think it was an excellent choice. I think making fast travel more accessible is the best option.
And beautifully fast loading if you're on next gen.
Oh baby, it took me like a minute and a half before, and now it takes me 10 seconds.
Speaking of fast travel, this is a stupidity of mine. I didn't look into all the controls the map has, which is one of the reasons I want to go over some of these things, because
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know to fast travel underground that you could just what is it? The right analog stick, you click it in, you switch to underground.
Yep.
I was fast traveling to one of the elevators and going down and fast traveling from there.
Oh, man.
So yes, you can right clicking will take you underground. You can fast travel there immediately, which I didn't get.
Oh, I got that right away.
When you're looking at the map, how do you keep track of the dungeons you've cleared?
Good luck.
I have a way.
Well, there, yeah. Okay.
So when you go to the map,
jerk
you
off
press
on the
triangle, and it'll bring up the sites of grace. And once I clear a dungeon,
Really?
yeah, if you go to the map, you press triangle.
Yeah.
Then you can press square and go straight to the round table hold. You don't have to move the cursor all the way down.
What?
Yeah, you can press square and you'll go straight there.
Yeah.
But when
Fuck off.
when I clear something, I'll pull up the site of grace by pressing triangle, and then you click the right stick, I believe it is, and it puts a star.
I didn't
Not on the map, but it'll put it on the list.
I didn't know
town.
that. I didn't
Because
know
I
that.
had a fucking notebook
Yeah.
where I was writing down every dungeon I cleared and saying like done or like big bad guy.
How did I not
fucking
know
ruined
this?
hair.
I am.
I wrote 8 pages of outline. It didn't come into that
I am
anywhere.
so deeply flabbergasted. This is not like
It's the
listen,
biggest quality of life I've seen in the
That's
game.
why this game is a masterpiece. Like, let's be clear. Like, that's why this entire game is so good. Like, how can you even compare to something when everyone is? You make an item, you make a piece of art, and then everyone else gets their own experience with it? Are you fucking kidding me? That's crazy.
I'm just glad the newborn was able to teach the OG there for a second.
Yeah.
That was a special moment.
But
The minds of babes, you know? Kids say the darndest things, Tyler.
well, I still forget that I can jump.
Dylan's Bill Cosby, and you're the kid that says something crazy to him. What I was doing, though, is hitting the square button, which pulls up markers. So anytime there wasn't something I completed,
markers.
I left a marker. I didn't give a fuck. There's like 10 or 15 different markers. I just put a marker down. I know I had to go back and do something.
Oh, I just put
Yeah.
the skull.
Yeah. This,
I only use the skull.
yeah.
Skull's good.
Yeah, so you can do that. X will place a beacon, which is going to be, if you know you're going to a vague area, you can put that down.
Yeah.
Another tip, riding through the beacon automatically removes it, so you don't have to go in there and click it away.
Fucking hell, I didn't know that either.
Yep, so ride through your beacons once you get to where you're going. Triangle, like you said, is Sites of Grace. L1 shows multiplayer status.
What?
I don't use this.
What? I don't give a shit.
Blue circle
Yeah.
means there's active co-op happening in the area.
What?
Red circle means active PvP happening in the area. There will be a multiplayer episode probably next year because we're going to talk about
I'm
everything
gonna
else
have to
first.
talk about.
Down on the D-pad shows hot singles in your area. So important to
I already
know.
know. I already know.
Hot albinaric women near
listen,
you.
Listen, bud. I already know all the hot singles in my area. I don't need an app.
I know her. I know her. I know her.
In your hair. In your hair.
L3, if you click in the left thumbstick, that will center on your location and bring you right back.
Yeah.
That's not as big of a one, but some areas will not allow fast travel until you exit a location, generally if you're in caves. Goodness, we're not going to get through a lot of what we wanted to talk about today. We can go a little long, but damage types. You'll see when you pull up a weapon, there are 8.5 different types of damage. Physical
Smash,
damage.
slash.
Physical damage, you have standard, which is everything outside of these other three categories. Strike damage, often associated with blunt weapons. These will be more effective against heavily armored enemies as well as creatures with a sturdy composition.
Correct.
Think Orin, FF10.
Sure.
That's what I thought of when I heard
All right.
yeah, big armor. Slash damage, often associated with sharp weapons. More
Yeah.
effective against unarmored or lightly armored enemies and fleshy creatures,
Fleshy creatures.
which is hot singles in our area.
Okay.
Pierce damage, often associated with thrusting weapons, more effective against scaly creatures as well as medium armored enemies. That's
true.
Also, I didn't think about this and was fine, but that's just so you know, that's what it means when it says certain weapons are standard slash, or slash.
I knew that one though. That's been the same thing since Dark Souls.
Some other damage types. Elemental damage.
Elemental.
Magic damage is any damage that's done with magic outside of the other three categories. Fire damage, more effective against unarmored, fleshy creatures, and the undead. Lightning will be against heavily armored enemies, dragons, and other draconic and serpentine creatures.
That is an
That's
absolute Dark Souls pull.
And that's what I need to beat the boss that I am currently fighting. So that is
Take some lightning over there.
that is what I'm doing today.
Ooh, man. Fucking lightning attacks in Brad, just go Faith in Dark Souls. You'll be fine. It fucking destroys.
Yeah.
It's so phenomenal. Like, Tom will tell you.
And holy damage is going to be more effective against undead creatures. And generally, enemies that utilize a certain damage type will have high resistance or even immunity to that said damage. If you're fighting a fire dragon, don't use fire on them, you ding dong.
Seems right.
And then the 0.5 damage type is critical damage. This is done through backstabbing, attacking a downed enemy, such as those affected with sleep status, breaking a stance, or attacking an enemy after deflecting their attack with the parry skill.
That's how I killed Renala very quickly.
I don't know. I'm convinced that the parry is impossible because I've tried it 1,000 times.
Try playing Bloodborne,
Parry is
man.
awful.
And
Parry in this game is not good.
I have tried to parry at least
done it.
1,000 times, and I have succeeded exactly 0 times.
I've succeeded maybe 5. So you're
it's impossible.
You're in fine company. It doesn't matter.
Okay, good.
Let's talk about armaments. Let's talk about weapons. There's a lot. There's 309 known weapons in the game.
Oh, wow.
Attribute scaling is different for everyone. You pull up a weapon that says strength D, dexterity B, or there's different scaling. What does this mean? The more strength you have, if it is an A, will increase attack versus if it's a D. And
Right.
Yep. And they can scale with all the different stats. These are good things to know. And also, they will require a different set number of those said stats to even wield it effectively. Yep. If you don't have those, your attack power will be less, and you can't utilize skills on the weapons. And it is funny. I tried some today where I have these legendary armaments, and I put it on, and I don't have. It's a big red X. Like, you can't use this properly, but you can equip it. And I try and use a skill. My dude just like, no, my dude just like, my dude has a sword, and he like shakes it like a broken wand or something, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And
oh no!
Important to know in the menu, if you right click, you can compare stats with weapons and arms or an armor.
Not know that.
That'll help you once you're trying to determine. Yeah, I didn't know that at all. It helps a lot with armor.
I've been taking pictures on my phone and then pulling it up and side by side.
The only color I want to see is blue, baby. Yeah.
Did you know that right click or left click, the L3 button lets you sort armor and weapons?
Yes, sir.
You can sort by order discovered, so you can just see the newest things at the bottom or the top. Yeah, instead of I got something, where to go.
Oh my god!
I knew that there was going to be a lot of things that y'all didn't know because I didn't know these things either.
I knew that one.
I have to hit up or down 1,000 times to get to whatever category of weapon I want to use. I know shield is at the bottom, so that's good.
Yeah,
so you got to figure it out. Shield at the bottom.
So that's where
honestly you just got to kind of scroll, baby. Scroll away, bitch.
And a lot of story is told through items in this game. Mm-hmm. Square is switch display. One of those options will show you an item description.
X.
Square.
X.
It's square.
X.
Or X for you. Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
I said we're using PlayStation controls for this. But yes, you'll get item descriptions. That will be the only way you learn about a lot of the lore, the deep lore in this game. If you want to know more about certain bosses, you will only discover this through item descriptions.
It's the only way.
And it's inventory, armor, key items, everything. Like all of that. Take a look at your inventory after you're done for the day. Just look 10 minutes and just read a little bit. Or right after you beat a boss or a unique enemy, just see whatever they dropped because it will inform you who they are, why they are, or it won't. But either way, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I spent like 20 minutes the other night just going through my inventory and reading the descriptions. And disclaimer, still have no idea what the fuck's going on.
You need to kind of know the big broad terms, which I did it today after doing 3 hours,
baby.
Yeah,
after doing 3 hours of research. All of a sudden, like things were clicking for me, which was nice.
I'm suddenly starting to understand what the demigods are, and that hurts. And then which characters we fought were actually Elden Lords. I kind of know that now.
No, there's only been 3 confirmed Elden Lords.
Radon.
He's not an Elden Lord.
Yes, he was.
No, not an Elden Lord.
That's just the motherfucker that holds the stars up, dog.
No, having a great rune doesn't mean you're an Elden Lord. An Elden Lord is a consort to America, who is the vessel.
Well,
I have not even encountered an Elden Lord yet.
What?
There's no way.
Yeah, you
I mean,
have.
no, there's no way.
Huh.
Unless that fucking giant lizard dragon thing I killed was... Yep, then there's
no.
He transformed himself.
You haven't seen any Elden Lords, but you have definitely fought some descendants of Elden Lords.
Oh, yeah, Godric.
Godric
is like, my great grandpa was a king, so I'm coming to the party.
I'm going to wear the limbs of my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, Godric is definitely just like, who invited Godric? Everyone hates him, and he's kind of the major douche of the family, but he's still the last known descendant of the golden lineage, so he gets a spot there.
But every time he walks in for Thanksgiving, they're like, fuck, he made it.
He's Gale the Snail.
He's Godric
the Snail.
He's a petulant little fuck.
He's not Godric the Golden, he's Godric the Snail.
Even
defeating him was so easy, I was like, you stupid bitch.
Even
Margit was harder.
The crone that reads your fingers is even talking shit. She's like, he's barely one of them fuckers.
And then they're like, he's kind of a cuck.
There are 29 different kinds, maybe more, of like right-hand armaments or just armaments for attacking or shields, but we're not going to go through all of them. They all have little uniquenesses, and like whips can't be parried or do critical damage.
I love the whip.
I have
The whip
one.
is really fucking good. I've done so much fucking damage with the whip. Oh, just in normal exploration, like
Just going full
"Wha-cha!"
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, what? Like in the left hand with. Okay, so what I do is I put the whip in the right hand, and then I have my staff in the left, and I'm just like wham, 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 and they can't even react.
You have an Indiana Jones build.
Essentially,
Yep.
I've made an Indiana Jones build with high intelligence.
And
really.
just so anyone who is pursuing sorcery or incantations, in order to do sorcery, you need to wield the glintstone staff. And in order to do an incantation, you need to have a sacred seal. Whatever you have equipped as your spell or your incantation will be used as long as you have those weapons.
Yes.
Torches can also be used for attack and have unique skills, but they're generally used to guide you around. There are such a thing as paired weapons. So instead of two-handing a weapon when you do triangle R1, you get a duplicate in the other hand. So if you're using a claw or a fist, you'll all of a sudden have Wolverine claws.
Like my guitars.
With all of them or just certain
Yeah.
ones?
Certain ones.
Well, it's the specific
Claws,
like,
fists,
items.
and some swords? Some sword. And
Some swords.
two different swords will allow you to do that.
I need to go
there's
home and check my claws.
Yeah.
so there's guitars, and then there's like the scrapers, like the silly ones, like
yeah.
the Wolverine ones. Yeah, that's how you wield them.
Oh,
essentially.
I got one of those. I got the Wolverine looking.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Dual wielding weapons, if you're using, say, two katanas, you will have a different attack when you hit L1,
Yep.
where you utilize both katanas, doubling your blood loss or blood buildup, bleeding buildup. And this works for a lot of different weapons as well. To strengthen your weapons, you will need smithing stones or somber smithing stones. Upgrading your weapons is one of the most effective ways to scale your character to
win.
To win
Yeah.
the Elden Ring. So do it when you can. Affinities. These are altered. They can alter scaling. You need to equip an Ash of War to a regular type weapon.
Who's your favorite summon, by the way? I have to ask this question.
I'm early game. I'll say it was the wolf, the lone wolf,
Yeah,
which is actually three wolves, which is funny.
Fine.
Yeah.
Mine is Banished Knight Ingval.
Yeah, one of the
rock-
two banished knights. They actually were a pair, but they went their separate ways. They had a fight.
But that's why I love him.
It's like it was like Lloyd and Harry. Like, no, I'm leaving, Engel.
Since I'm a sorcerer, like having him just fuck shit up, I'm just like, oh, yeah, just do your shit.
I will probably change mine now that I respect, but I've been rocking the +5 demi-human squad of like
yeah,
5
the
or 6
squad.
dudes.
Yeah, that's pretty
'Cause
good.
Squad up.
It
I was
ain't bad.
doing magic for a while.
It
so
ain't bad.
Yeah, they draw a lot of aggro, and I can just hang back and
Yeah.
spam the glintstone.
But with your affinities, let's say you put an Ash of War onto a regular weapon. These are different than Spirit Ashes. Ashes of War will give you
I
a
know.
skill, but you can also affect scaling. So you can alter it to where your weapon will scale better with strength or dexterity
Yep.
or intelligence. If you're using a non-unique weapon, this is good to know. I told Tom about this the other day, and he didn't realize he could go do that. So if you're not using a unique weapon, go change your affinity. Unique
Yeah, I've
weapon.
got Moonveil. I've got it.
I'm all set.
I'm all set, bro.
You need a whetstone knife for skills in Ashes of Wars, and also there's such a thing as buffs if you're using a regular weapon. You're going to find a bunch of little top hats that are actually grease. And I didn't use a lot of these because I have an issue with any
can't-
game where I'm like, oh, I don't want to use my items. I'm saving them for,
Yeah.
for retirement.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Item hoarding.
Use them. Use those things, especially with bosses.
that's true.
They're there to be used, and you also can use different magics to enhance your weapons. Do either of you guys use a bow and arrow ever?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It's fun.
I use it for draw. Like crowd control and
Okay, tell me more about that.
the game is kind of one of the ways that I found I could cheese stuff early on is by hitting with the bow. And even if that enemy is standing directly next to another enemy and I shoot him in the head with a bow, he's going to turn around and come at me, and his buddy's just going to keep chilling. So it's a way to 1v1 everything in an area. And that's the way I survived for a long time.
There is a place within the underground where there's essentially this giant fucking like snake winged angel thing.
Is it the river or the lake?
The river, I believe.
Is it? Oh,
It's that one. and she sends like she can hurl rocks at you.
Yeah,
like,
fuck that bitch.
Okay, that's how I defeated them. I was good enough at having. I got a horn bow.
Is that the red one that you got in the lake area?
I believe so, because I think like because it also scales with magic.
Yeah, I got that one too.
The horn bow is really good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I fucking killed that motherfucker. But I was just like, and I just literally ticked away at their health.
Well,
there's no other way to face it. But there's no other way to face it.
Yeah.
How else would you approach it? I don't know how you might have approached it, Brad. But there's no other way to approach this beast other than to fucking kill it from far away, because there's no way to kind of walk up onto it.
I had a really effective method. I simply ran away as fast as I could.
Oh,
yep.
damn.
That is always a solution.
That's what I did as a person.
Truthfully, I just wanted to get rid of it, and I wanted to get it out of the way. And so I've not looked up anything about this, like quest lines or whatever.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
And I didn't want to look up anything about this.
The rare enemy that will permanently die, even though it's not a boss. But bows cannot be greased, and they offer no guarding.
Nope.
There are light bows, great bows, crossbows, and ballistas. Crossbows must be loaded and require bolts. Ballistas require great bolts and do not require loading. And there's one that is a straight up rocket launcher.
Oh, well, it's basically Radons, right?
No, there's a different one that's going to be like essentially a rocket launcher.
Fuck.
Shields have 3 different sizes. Shields can parry, where you'll smack an attack away.
If you can parry.
And also, if you are going to be using a shield, it pays to go to the Knight Bernal and get no skill as an Ash of War. Attach it so you can use whatever Ash is on your right-handed weapon with while also wielding a shield, which a lot of shields would prevent.
I didn't know that. That's wonderful.
It's called No Skill. Go to Knight Bernal at the War Master's Shack.
Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful.
We mentioned sorcery. 7 NPCs will sell you sorceries. 2 can receive prayer books. Incantations, 4 NPCs will sell them. 2 can receive prayer books. You can hotkey 3 weapons. We mentioned that before. Mm-hmm. And we're already going a little long here, but we're going to finish talking mechanics. Shit, we have enough to probably do another episode. Should we call it?
We got to call it.
Okay. So when we come back next time, so Elden Dogs is generally going to come out every 2 weeks, unless there was a predetermined Raw Dogs, such as Castlevania month, which happens, and I'm excited about that. And Indie Games month, we are going to be taking a small break, but otherwise, Elden Dogs will be happening every 2 weeks. We are going to come back and discuss armor, talismans, gestures, inventory, item crafting, the sites of grace. A lot of tips and generalities. Yeah, there's a lot still.
The lore, man. The lore is going to be so interesting.
The lore is going to be my favorite part of all this.
And we're going to discuss a lot of the lore as it comes up. So, like, once we get to Godric, we're like, who the fuck invited Godric and why was he invited? And we'll know. And when we get to Renala, we're going to talk about getting over ex-boyfriends. Because that's important. You can't just, he gave you an egg. Get over it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Bitch.
He hasn't texted in like 10 years.
Dang, girl.
Granted, we don't know. Yeah.
She's pretty cute, though.
Could I
she
recommend
deserve it.
to the movie, big hat. He's just not that into you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renala's just Netflix and chilling by herself. That sounded weird, but
sounds like never mind.
It's masturbating. You're right.
Okay.
This has been Elden Dogs. We will be back in 2 weeks to finish the discussion on generalities and opening game lore. After that, we are going to be going location or like kind of region by region, like Limgrave. We'll talk about some of our favorite unique enemies. We're going to talk about different dungeons that have unique aspects, the lore, NPCs, kind of what's happening. And this is going to be a long-running series. I'd say conservatively, maybe 20 plus episodes.
What the fuck?
I mean, honestly.
Sure, fine.
All
right.
We have plenty to go off.
That's good.
There's a lot.
I don't hate it.
Yeah. This is the Venn diagram of something we can talk about forever. But yeah, and we're not going to rush it. We're going to take our time and enjoy it.
Honestly, keep listening. It's going to get really interesting. I think everyone is having their own little like unique kind of understanding of what this game is and how it works. I think you got the best of all worlds.
And there will be many guests, so we can get a lot of different individuals' takes on the story and their characters.
Then I'm going to yell at them about lore. I'm going to become so good at this lore that it's going to suck for everyone.
That's my job. And believe me, I'm going to make it suck for you, Dylan.
I'll slap you.
Godric teamed up with Praetor Reichard and attacked the Grand Capital.
And then I went.
Pass. I don't want to spoil anything. I was going to make a joke, but I don't want to spoil anything.
No, you can't.
I will just say, when I was making outlines, Google desperately wanted to change Erd Tree to Nerd Tree. And that made me happy. Do you mean Nerd Tree? I'm like, fuck you, Google. I'm not...
Dude, Google roasted you.
Just roasting me constantly. But yes, if you have any questions or thoughts or anything you'd like, suggestions for what you want us to talk about, please reach out to hairofthedogcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter and a Hot Dogcast. Or we're on Twitter and Instagram @HotDogcast. If you want access to these episodes early and bonus episodes, check us out on patreon.com/hairofthedogcast. And executive producers, Ryan Christianick, Tyler Keller, Kip, Brian Ward. Thank you for your support. We exist because of people like you. And our next episode topic, depending on if Josh can be there, will be the history of PBR next week for the Dogcast, which will be a fun one.
I'll tell you one thing, Kip. You're coming to the Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yes, and Midwest Gaming Classic is coming to Milwaukee. It's a month away, and we are.
You and me, buddy, we're swinging bachelors. We're gonna fucking snap our way into life.
And I'm already preparing a hangover kit for after seeing the Mortal Kombat people.
Yeah, you can. I'll be fine.
All right, this has been episode 1 of Elden Dogs. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you for all of our new listeners and all of our devoted favorite fans.
Adios.